Welcome to Armchair Expert. I am Dan Shepard. I'm joined remotely by Miniature Mouse. Hi, Minnie.
Hi. I'm also Monica Monsoon today because it is raining in Los Angeles.
Oh, you are in the thick of that monsoon season, aren't you?
I am, and you're not here.
I'm not there, but I can't wait for people to hear this episode because Miniature Mouse, a.k.a. Monica Monsoon, got hypnotized before our very eyes. And it was quite a thrilling ride. I got to say, so was Rob. Rob and I kept smiling at each other. We were watching this brain monitor, and you were dead. You just died for a minute.
I know. Well, yeah, what's unfortunate is you can't really hear this part, obviously, because it's visual, but my brain was hooked up to an EEG so we could see my brain waves. But when I went into hypnosis, it was just flat.
Yeah, and they were crazy active, your brain waves, just sitting, listening to him and touching your forehead and stuff. Like there was so much activity, and then it just all disappeared when he started. So the man of the hour is Tom Silver. Tom Silver is a clinically trained and certified hypnotist with over 35 years of experience developing therapeutic hypnosis methods. Tom is the founder and director of the University of Hypnosis and is considered to be a world-leading expert, instructor, and educator in what has become known as scientific hypnosis. He has a new book everyone should check out called Kill the Hypnotist. So please enjoy as our sweetest miniature mouse goes under.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
You and I have something in common. Friends with Bill.
Oh, yeah.
Buddy. Yeah.
Me too.
I told you.
Yeah. I'm very open about it.
Well, I was at a meeting yesterday, and I mentioned that I'm going to appear on the show. Lady next to me says, "I love that show," and then she says, "He's in the program."
Oh yeah. Choose to be very open about it.
I do too.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
That's great.
Absolutely. And the 12 steps is great.
I say my life.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
How long have you been sober?
January 4th, 12 years.
No shit.
Yeah. How about yourself?
I'll have 16 years in September.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the reason I give for sharing it is, I always say, I'm not the spokesperson for AA. So if I go relapse,
Yes.
it was a failure of Dax Shepard, not of AA.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm real clear about that.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. And how I feel about it, having that relationship with my higher power that I never had before, that I call God, really was important in removing certain emotions.
Sure.
But as a hypnotherapist, I also use my mind to think differently, to remember the damage that was created, and to use my mind to stay pure of any cravings or addictions, because that's one of the things I do in hypnotherapy.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So can I ask, where are you from?
I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and I was raised on a chicken farm in the city of Winnetka in Southern California.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. It was interesting because in elementary school, I always got bad grades. My mind was always imagining or thinking out of the box of standard education. So when I was in elementary school, every year the teacher would call my mom in and say, could I get D's and fails? I was always exploring altered realities, altered thinking. And the teacher would say, well, Tom's a real smart guy, but he's getting terrible grades. And she would say, leave him alone because he is thinking about other things and he's a creative human being. So don't bug him. Let him do what he's going to do.
Oh, wow. So you had a supporter.
I had a supporter.
Or an enabler, we might say.
Well, I'd like to say a supporter.
Yeah, me too.
She gave me the freedom to use my imagination to create and do things that other people said were impossible.
Well, now, did it get in your way as far as going to college, not having had good grades?
No, not really. I was actually a street musician. I played saxes and flutes and clarinet. So when I got into college, first I majored in acting for about a year. And it was cool, but then I switched to a music major. And surprisingly enough, I graduated with a bachelor's degree in music. I'm still not sure how I was able to do that as a street guy that then became legitimate, that went back to playing music. I was playing in some bands in Ojai, and I was playing in Medford, and I play tenor and alto and the flutes and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
But I think creativity is such a catalyst, especially in the field of inventing. When you think about it, Thomas Edison, he created a lot of ideas in his sleep. First few hours of sleep called precognitive sleeping. So he's thinking of these creative things, out of the box stuff. And then he formulated the application of putting him in and creating a reality.
Yeah.
And everything in our life stems from imagination.
Yeah.
You know, so imagination used correctly is fantastic, but used incorrectly, dangerous. And that's why so many people are walking around negative autosuggestions, accepting the negative communication from people in their environment. And we wonder why everyone's so medicated. Medicine is good, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
If it's used correctly. But if it's used to remove or lower an emotional feeling or an anxiety or whatever, like alcoholism and drug addiction and all that other stuff, then we become dependent on just looking at the symptoms versus getting in, removing the cause, and then letting it go. And that's what our program did for me.
Yeah.
AA helped me to unveil the cause.
Yeah.
And it wasn't alcohol, it was my mind.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
How do you go from your interest in music to your interest in hypnosis? Like, how were you first exposed to hypnosis?
When I was young, I used to read a lot of spiritual books, psychic books, a lot of books from India and all that stuff. I don't know why, but I was always interested in what they would call the occult or things that were a little bit more...
Crowley and...
Absolutely. Things that are a little more supernatural. But then, you know, like everybody, I went to school and got an education and then became a music major. And after I graduated college with my music degree, I was a flute major, actually. I realized that getting a gig in music is pretty tough. I mean, I only know one really, really successful studio woodwind guy, you know, and he gets all the gigs and everyone else is out on the streets. And let's face it, you have some of the world's greatest jazz musicians that become heroin addicts. They live on the streets. So at that point, I thought, well, I love music. So I found a gig in a record company. And a friend of mine was working for Polygram Records back in the 80s. So I went in for an interview. And I got the job. I was a inventory specialist, the guy that set up those posters on the walls at Tower Records and all those places.
Yeah.
So I started doing that, and I really loved it because I also got to be creative, creating marketing, little advertising things. And I worked my way up to compact disc specialist, single sales specialist, and then I lost the gig. So then I wound up in between gigs. My brother told me there was an opening for a cameraman at a hypnosis school. It's called the Hypnosis Motivation Institute. And so when he said hypnosis, it just fascinated me.
You had not seen it or experienced it prior to
not
this.
seen it, not experienced it, didn't believe it, didn't disbelieve it, you know?
Yeah.
And so I thought, how cool, man. I can be this camera guy. And I can go through, get $10 an hour credit. And after a year, earn enough credits to go through the program. So that's what I did.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
So they were teaching people how to be...
They were teaching people how to be hypnotherapists. And it was interesting because the teachers were guys that had lifelong practices in the field of hypnotism. You know, they were actually out in the field working. They weren't just a bunch of textbook trainers.
Right.
So I was the camera guy on the stage, and I would get audience reactions, and then I would get close-ups of the hypnosis trainer doing these case history things, removing phobias from people and the habits and all this stuff. But as I tuned in, I kind of created this, I'd almost call it laser vision. I was so tuned in to watching and so open to receiving. I was like in a hypnotic state that all that stuff was going into my subconscious biocomputer, into my hard drive. I went through the program for a year. And then did a residency program where I worked there in their offices as a hypnotherapist. And then I went out into the real world, started a practice in my own home. But at that point, then I started the real journey. And the journey was to go beyond education and create new education, create new science.
Okay. So really quick, we're going to check in with everyone's what they think about hypnosis before, right?
Sure,
Yeah.
So I had the experience of being in Salt Lake City when I was 18. And I went to a stage show.
Yeah.
And there had to be, 500 people there. But what I witnessed on the stage was, and I feel like I can say this as an authority even more now as an actor who knows when people are acting and not acting.
Right.
These people did things that humans will not do in front of an audience. They just won't do it. And one of the gals was tangentially related to the group I had arrived with. So I knew she wasn't a plant from this hypnotist. And people were, again, they were just embarrassing themselves in a way that just they would never, ever do not hypnotized.
Right.
And I was like, oh, this is legit real. They were also doing physical feats that I know they couldn't have done outside of hypnosis.
The body rigidity
yes,
where they stand on the person?
Yes, they like put this person
Yeah.
on their head and their heels on two different chairs, and they're like basically
What?
planking perfectly for a period of time that you or I could not do it. So I left that going, okay, so it's 100% real. And so Monica, let's just check in.
I'm skeptical. I'm very skeptical because, we watched a video of you at Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel with Uncle Frank and Guillermo and Beatrice?
Yes. And the clip we saw was of Guillermo, and he thought you were Neil Diamond.
Right.
He was hypnotized into thinking that you were Neil Diamond.
You said when you wake up, you're going to be talking with Neil Diamond.
That was behind the scenes when I was conditioning him in one of the dressing rooms.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you, those three people were one of the worst three subjects you could ever have on a show. Absolutely. Well, they went, number one, hypnosis is based on focus, concentration, and then letting go. So some people, the more intelligent they are, the easier it is for them to go into hypnosis. There's so many different dynamics relating to the science of hypnotism. So Jimmy had me come in the day before. So I'm working my butt off, bringing him in, dropping him down, physical induction, shock induction, stimulating the nervous system. I swear, I'm
like
sweating.
Processing a chicken.
I'm telling you, I had to break them down and shut that damn conscious mind off on all three of them. And it wasn't easy. I wanted to give up and walk away, but I said, Jimmy knows my history. I cured his mom of migraine headaches. Jimmy,
I didn't
in
know
like
that.
2 sessions. And Jimmy will swear to God it's real.
Yeah.
And then plus, I was on the Kevin and Bean K-Rock show with Jimmy, who used to be Jimmy the sports guy.
Sure.
Back in the old days when Adam Carolla was Mr. Bircham. And I think I hypnotized almost everyone on that show for personal problems, past life regression, and all of that stuff. So after about 3 or 4 hours of hard work, I mean, really, the odds of me getting him into an altered reality state, and we're going to talk about that. Because there's so many levels of hypnosis. Everyone's hypnotizable. Not everyone goes into altered reality or complete unconsciousness. Although you know that alcohol is a wonderful hypnotic inducer. What's a blackout? What the hell is a blackout?
Yeah.
So what alcohol does, it creates a somnambulous state called somnambulism, or an amnestic amnesia state. So you're responding, you're reacting, you're doing things, but it's not being recorded in the conscious mind, so it can't get downloaded into the long-term memory in the subconscious. Now, years ago, a lawyer brought a kid into me to work with him. Now, this guy, this is what he claimed. He walked out of a bar drunk, and he had a blackout. Next thing you know, he woke up in the morning in a hospital bed. Of course, he had some handcuffs on him. He stabbed 6 people and killed 1, murdered 1.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, absolutely. So the lawyer brought him in for me to test to see if he actually knew what he was doing, if he was conscious, or if he truly had the blackout. They were trying to use the alcohol card to set this guy free who committed murder.
Right.
Yeah.
That doesn't get you out.
Doesn't
murder.
get out.
Yeah.
Doesn't get you out. So I worked with him for about 2 hours and tested his suggestibility and hypnotism, and I came to the conclusion he knew exactly what he was doing.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
And so they couldn't use my stuff in court. But let's finish up this Jimmy Kimmel thing.
Guillermo,
Because so I finally got him to the point where I could create amnesia or hallucination or illusion. But only 3 to 5% of the population, when they're hypnotized, can have that experience. So if you, like when you watch that stage show, and we'll go back to Kimmel, but talking about that
I could tell he had screened us.
and he also removed certain people from the stage.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there were 3 different types of experiences going on that stage, and I want to educate you and the listeners.
Yeah.
Number 1, the real hypnotic subject. Guys in a somnambulous state, every suggestion the hypnotist gives them, he's hallucinating, illusion, and not remembering anything, completely amnesia, unless the hypnotist gives him the suggestion to remember it all. Then he can remember it all. The other experience is a person that hears everything going on. They know exactly what's going on. They know they're on the stage, but they can't stop themselves from doing it.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah.
That sounds horrible.
Oh, I love it.
Well, it's horrible, except what if the hypnotist gave a suggestion that you can't stop yourself from choosing healthy foods, from
that I like.
exercising,
Yeah.
from being free of stress and tension. So it depends how it's used.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the third person on stage is just that person that wants to be popular, an actor, somebody maybe that always wanted to be the front person, the extrovert, so they get to be a star for an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
But they know exactly what they're doing and they're the faker.
Right.
So that's the true three phenomena.
And by the way, I found that detectable by watching them.
But Guillermo, this is what I could not believe. That he was staring at your face and was seeing Neil Diamond?
Yeah, and then I had him think I was Jimmy Kimmel.
How?
You know, and then so I'm testing because I'm going to do this TV show. And hey, you know, it might not work and I might fail. But guess what? It's okay if I fail. More people will believe it's real.
Sure.
The trouble is you see these TV shows or movies and the hypnotist snaps his fingers and they're deep trance. The next thing, you know, they're shooting somebody or they're just doing something ridiculous. So they never show you when it doesn't work. And if I tell you that experience works on 3 to 5% of the population, or if you work as hard as I did and do the techniques that I've developed, I can increase that percentage to maybe 40%. So the next day I go in to do the shoot. Now I've given them a post-hypnotic suggestion, meaning a trigger to enter back into hypnosis. And I might say each time
So it's like a shortcut.
It's a shortcut. See, I've already accessed their subconscious. So this is called a post-hypnotic suggestion. Like I could say, each time I hypnotize you, you'll enter more quicker, easier, and faster into hypnosis. Nod your head, yes, if you understand that. So at that point, I'm directing it to their subconscious, and I don't really care what they're thinking.
Right.
Because the subconscious mind, that's 90% of our true brain power. Our thinking mind's the weakest part. Most people use it correctly, unsuccessfully, because they're thinking negative and they're getting the negative results. So the next day I go in. Now, when I do these shows, I usually give a list of bits of fun little goofy, fun stuff that we can do, because I don't want to make it look weird. I don't want to scare people. And I have scared people. We can talk about that later. So I give Uncle Frank, I say, give this to Jimmy. And he gives it back to me. He says, Jimmy doesn't care about your suggestions. He's got his own ideas. Now I'm thinking, now I'm in frickin' trouble. Jimmy's got his own ideas. I mean, sometimes he is so out there.
Sure.
So
he like painted his cousin's house pink. I
He's
mean,
a prankster.
he's a prankster.
well, and with me, he likes to throw me under the bus
Sure.
as the hypnotist. Every time I go on work with him, I think my career's gone. So I put Guillermo, Uncle Frank, and Beatrice on the couch in a little room. This wasn't the live shoot. This was pre-recorded. So I quickly throw them all back into hypnosis. So Kimmel walks in with a little smile on his face, you know.
Yeah.
So then he sits down. So I said, okay, Jimmy, what do you want me to do? First thing he says to me, I couldn't believe it. He goes, tell Guillermo to pee in his pants. It'll be real funny. And I'm thinking, this is like the biggest nightmare that a hypnotist could have. It's the worst thing.
Oh, my
It's
God.
the worst thing.
I was going to ask you, can you make people do that? Yeah,
Well,
obviously.
I mean, and my heart stopped. It's like all of a sudden the film stopped, and I'm thinking, what do I do? Do I walk off? You know, I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. I have a private practice, so I'm thinking, what do I do? Do I just leave? And I said, God, I worked my butt off the day before to get these guys conditioned. And then I said, he's not going to pee in his pants. You know, so I'll do it to please Jimmy, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So now I had to create a storyline.
no.
So I said, Guillermo, on the count of 3, you really wanted to go to the bathroom real bad. The bathroom door was locked. On the count of 3, you're going to, and I didn't want to say pee in your pants. You know, I'm like a professional. I was imagining every hypnotism expert out there, all the big guys with the big egos or whatever, were going to call me and, you know,
Unethical.
and bury me, unethical, how dare you, and all this stuff. So I said, okay, on the count of 3, you're going to pee in your pants. So I go 1, 2, 3, and then we're all still. We're looking down. This
is horrifying.
Yeah, we're looking down. All of a sudden, it's getting wet. It's getting wet.
Yeah.
Now, but this is what happens. It's getting wet, and Kimmel's cracking up, and I'm starting to laugh.
Sure,
I didn't think it was going to happen, you know? And then all of a sudden, I hear this gigantic thud on the ground, and I look, and the cameraman fell onto the ground.
Yes, he became hypnotized.
He went into hypnosis and he's crying.
Yes.
He's saying, stop it, you're hurting him, you're hurting him. And tears are coming down.
Yeah.
He has this flashback, man, of some past trauma. And, you know, and everyone there.
The thing that he does is virtually just like giving people acid all of a sudden. It's like he can make everyone in the room be having an acid
So
trip.
he accidentally got hypnotized.
Well, because he was watching so closely.
He was listening to me. He wasn't listening to the stage manager give him direction. All of a sudden, he's a great subject.
Yeah.
He just dropped into this trance. He dropped like a $500,000 camera on the ground.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Oh
he's
my
crying.
God.
Stop it. You're hurting him. You're hurting
Yeah.
him. And then now everyone in the room is no longer chuckling. They're all like scared to
Yes.
hell.
Well,
I,
right.
I swear, they're scared to hell.
Well, because these three
my
play roles on the show, and
Yeah.
they know what they signed up for. They know if Jimmy's telling them that they're going to work with a hypnotist for 2 days, that likely they're going to piss their pants. There's no real bait and switch there. But yeah, the cameraman didn't sign up for shit.
Unsuspecting.
Unsuspecting.
Yeah.
And Jimmy's just smiling because Jimmy knows I know what to do. I mean, it's like I put on my Superman cape all of a sudden. I become this superhero. So I tell him to lift this crying person up, and he's like, he's gone, man.
Yeah.
He's devastated.
Good looking guy too, Monica.
Yeah.
He was good looking.
So then they
God.
lift him up and they put him in a chair. So I go up to him and I do a strong shock induction. A shock induction is I physically overstimulate the central nervous system.
Okay.
Through a physical jolt to the body as well as a strong, powerful suggestion. And I have him escape, like someone fainting, escaping from the pain, from the trauma. So I touch him on his shoulder and I look in his eyes. I go, sleep. And his whole body drops down. So he was already hypnotized
Yeah.
by himself. So then I say, whatever you're feeling, whatever you're going through, I want you to take it from your mind, place it into your right hand and arm, a method called emotion replacement therapy. So I said, and your right hand and arm will shoot all the way up in the air. 1, 2, 3. His arm just shot all the way up into the air. And then I said, when I pull on your hand, I say delete or erase it, you'll let it go. And then I pull on his hand, and I say a word, and his body drops back down. So I say, now on the count of 3, you're back here on the Jimmy Kimmel Show. We're back in the room. On the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. Now I'm all maternal. Now I'm warm and fuzzy. Yeah. On the count of 3, you'll open your eyes feeling really good, a little smile on your face, and you're back to who you are right here and right now. So I go 1, 2, 3, eyes open, smiling, feeling good. He starts to smile. I say, how do you feel? He goes, I feel good. And I said, okay, now get back on your camera and let's finish the shoot. So I was playing stage manager.
Did he remember?
No. And he didn't remember a thing. And at the end of the show, all the technical people came up to me individually and they said this. He said, I always thought hypnosis was a bunch of bull. But what you did to help our friend was real. And thank you so much. And then later, the guy came in and told me about a trauma of his past.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Was it having to do with peeing pants?
No, but it had to do with
Well,
something.
hold on. We know who he is, so we don't want to say what his thing was.
No, but what I don't understand is the connection between Guillermo's peeing his pants and then this random trauma.
That was trauma. It stimulated a traumatic event in his life. Like a soldier going back to a war scene or someone going back to when a family member got run over or crushed to death. I had a childhood trauma, so I know what trauma is all about.
Let me ask you a question, because the whole time I'm thinking about this in the whole scenario, and ultimately everyone's looking to you to solve this problem that you have created in some capacity, the cameraman collapsing.
Yeah.
I think I would feel like God if I could do what you're doing, right?
The responsibility level is so
It's
high.
Because you could really fuck with some people, right?
Yeah, I'm like kind of afraid to look
You're
at
kidding?
you.
Bean always said, use the power for evil. I can't.
Right.
I have a certain integrity and honesty.
Yeah.
That's why I almost walked off that show because he was having me have someone pee in their pants. So the next time I did the show, when we worked with the 3 people and took them on the streets of Hollywood to do some weird stuff, he says to me, he goes, Tom, what happens if I go into hypnosis again? I said, listen, number 1, I gave him a waking
You're talking about the
suggestion.
cameraman?
Camera guy.
Okay, yeah.
I said, you won't. I said, but you do not listen to me. You have a stage director or somebody directing you on where to shoot. Focus on him.
Yeah.
Do not listen to anything I say, and you'll be fine. And that worked out great.
Is
the
there
second
any
time.
danger in someone who's driving right now and
Yeah,
listening
for
in their
real.
car? of
No,
becoming hypnotized?
because we're not doing a process on them.
But when we do the process, at that point, would it be dangerous to be driving a car and listening?
Well, let's put it this way. When we do the process, you might want to edit out a few little
Some of the things.
Okay.
Some of the
great.
full technique. Tell you, when I got the Kevin Bean K-Rock radio show, I hypnotized a radio guy, one of the sales guys, who had an eating disorder. His parents, when he was raised, would always eat like steaks and lobsters and all this stuff, and they'd give the kids like this cheap hot dogs and other food. So he became obsessive compulsive for eating and had a weight condition. So I removed that from this guy. So he gets me on a new morning show, Kevin and Bean on K-Rock. In 1990, that was the first time I went on a show. So I'm driving over, and my big mistake was I put the radio on to listen to those guys. They were just oh, we're going to bust that hypnotism crap. It's a bunch of phony crap. And I'm listening. I'm thinking, oh, man, I'm walking into a den.
Hostile.
I'm going to be roasted, man.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I went in and explained hypnosis scientifically and did a process, and it worked great. I was on that show on and off every year for 10 years. Twice we had people who were listening in their cars to pull over to the sides of the road, and I actually hypnotized all the listeners. Now that could be dangerous,
Yeah,
and
wow.
especially the FCC. I don't know how they got away with it.
Yeah. Right.
Some people had a fantastic day, the best day they ever had in years, because I just gave them positive suggestions of feeling good, having a great day, a lot of energy.
Oh, I want all that.
Does it fade? Okay, so like you did that to ostensibly everyone listening. And
Right.
how long does it last? Or do you have to be there to get them out of it, or does it just fade out?
Well, if I hypnotize you, say I hypnotize you, and you just go deep into hypnosis,
Yeah.
and I just leave you.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to be in that kind of appearance of a dead person state forever.
Suspended
Right.
state.
You'll die of
Right.
starvation. No, you won't. No, I'm not trying to scare anyone. But if I leave you,
You're doing a bad job.
Yeah, on the count of 3, you're going to. You can't make it to the bathroom. No. So what happens is you'll convert to a natural sleep, and you'll waken out of sleep.
Okay.
15 minutes of hypnosis is about 5 hours of a natural, very deep receptive sleep.
Fuck, I want to pay someone to
Yeah.
hypnotize
Wow.
me every
Yeah.
day for 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Oh my
so
God.
it's really kind of cool.
Okay, so I want to set a baseline of what we're talking about. So here's my understanding of the subconscious, and please tell me how, with the way you're going to use it, may differ, or this is on par.
All right.
The best way I heard it described to me the other day was when you're driving in your car, you are operating the gas, the brake, you're steering, you're avoiding things in the road. You're not thinking about one of those activities. You're never telling your brain to accelerate or to brake or whatever, just to maintain. Now, if there's an event, you kind of pop out of it. But you can be talking on the phone, you can be listening to a song and singing. That's what you're actively doing. And then your subconscious is just kind of doing all this rudimentary stuff that you've now been conditioned to do. So is that a definition of the subconscious that you would use, or is it different than that?
Well, I think what you said was excellent. And I'll give some examples of what we call environmental hypnosis. So let's look at our mind as a dual processing computer, okay? We have the screen of mind, like the computer screen, the RAM. That's our thoughts, okay? Then we have the programs that have been recorded in the computer. We can call those software programs. That's in the hard drive. So think of your hard drive as the subconscious mind. So when you learn how to drive, most people weren't afraid of driving. They didn't, I want to stay home with my parents. I don't want to hang with my friends. I don't want to go out and be an adult.
Yeah.
No, the complete opposite, man. You wanted to have that freedom. It's almost a transition to adulthood. So when you learned how to drive, there was a strong desire of wanting to drive.
I've never wanted anything more in my life.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And so as you're learning, that program or that data is getting recorded into your subconscious mind. Now, when you first start to drive, you're a little bit more nervous. I remember the first time I went on that freeway and I'm watching the cars zipping by and I'm thinking, oh shit, how am I going to get on this freeway with all these lunatics?
Yeah.
But then after a while, it just became automatic. So when you're on automatic pilot, what's the automatic pilot? It's your subconscious mind. And so therefore, we know when to stop without even thinking to stop. Now, if you're really distracted by texting or any of that other stuff, then you're prone to an accident or a bad mistake.
Yeah. Well, your eyes need to minimally be focused
They need
ahead
to be
for the
focused.
subconscious
Yes,
to be
and
doing.
then certain reflex responses occur, meaning that suddenly a ball comes out in the middle of the road or a kid runs out. All of a sudden, it takes you out of that kind of waking trance.
Right.
And then you can respond quickly. So it's almost like you're in a zone when you're driving. Other times, movies. You watch a movie, you focus on the movie. It gets to the point where all of a sudden, man, you're magnified into that movie.
You're in the movie.
You're in the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
You're still in your chair.
And it can be very complex too, what your subconscious is ordering. So
Right.
I washed cars for 14 years.
Yeah.
I could do that job without having any awareness that I was doing it.
Automation.
Yeah, I would prep an entire car. I'm talking wash it, wax it, tires, wheels, the whole 9 yards. And I'm just engaged in a conversation with my best friend, Aaron Weekly. I missed the whole experience. End of the day, we counted up, we prepped 36 cars. I don't remember one of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it can be that complex, right? That can get filed in there.
Right. And think about it. At that point, you're in the most deepest state of hypnosis. You're in that trance. I mean, every time you put your cell phone down or your keys down in your house, you put it down And then 15 minutes later, half hour later, you forgot where you put it. Or you lock your car door and then you go walk in the building and you think, wow, did I just lock my car door? And you go and check it again. All those states of fragmented amnesia are states of when we're going into the subconscious and we're losing access of the part of our mind that scans and remembers consciously. The short-term memory gets interrupted. But watching a movie and feeling the emotions of the movie, you're hypnotized. When that movie Jaws came on the air, my God, I was hypnotizing everyone who had fears of sharks in the ocean. You know, it was a fiberglass shark, but the music also created a hypnotic suggestion.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Right. Now, am I right to assume then that if your subconscious mind is sharp enough and competent enough to operate a motor vehicle without your participation in some ways,
Right.
I have to assume that same subconscious mind can make you feel certain ways and react certain ways that you're entirely unaware of, because that too is a part of an autopilot programming.
Well, it sure is. And think about this. Your subconscious mind identifies and associates with your conscious thoughts. So say, for example, you suffer from depression or stress, and you start thinking about something going on, like you're in traffic or whatever, and you're thinking about, you know, this feeling of being irritated, sends that message to the subconscious, which magnifies that emotion. 80%, all emotion is subconscious. All long-term memory is subconscious. So the acting of the body, the physiology, the natural reflex behaviors, breathing, blinking, all that stuff is all subconscious. We don't think about walking, right? We walk. But when we first started to walk, it
Took all our concentration.
Took all our concentration, yeah.
So, all right. So we have a sense of what subconscious is. Now, as you are working that camera and you're observing the techniques, I could see you learning the physical steps by which you would get someone into a state of hypnosis. In that it's an activity one could learn. There's talking, there's body movements.
Processes, techniques.
To be able to put someone in that state is one skill set.
Correct.
Now, to be useful as a therapist or helpful in someone's mental health, that is an entirely different field now.
Absolutely. All human beings should learn how to be better listeners and talkers. Because if I can't hear what you're telling me, what you want to achieve in your life, then how can I give you what you need? I'd be giving you what I think you want, but not what you need. And then also the communication linguistically has to be really important. And hypnosis, the reason it's kind of been screwed up for all these years, number one, it used to be called mesmerism, magnetism. Dr. Mesmer in France, he was considered the father of hypnotism.
Okay, there we go.
You
What
know,
year is that?
That was around 1775.
Okay.
But he had the wrong theory. He didn't understand, of course, neuroscience.
Sure.
You know, like I understand, like I try to educate people in. He thought there was some divine fluid transmitted through him from God, and that it can come out through his eyes, through his fingers, through his hands, some energy force. So that's what he thought. And he made all these cures. You know, he had a big giant wand. He put people around this bathtub, they called a baguette back in those days, which had iron magnetic particles and broken glass. So he created this whole ritual.
What a time to be alive.
I know.
Yeah. So I need to find out what your goals are. I need you to change the mindset of your goals. Like, say, for example, now this doesn't pertain to you, but someone who's got a weight issue.
Right.
And they want to lose weight. Well, if I lose weight, if I lose something, what am I going to do? I'm going to want to try to find it again. So right then and there, we talk about releasing weight, letting it go, not losing it.
Interesting.
So I might say, so you said you want to lose weight. Well, why can't you lose weight? Or why can't you release weight? Well, I'm lazy. I hate eating healthy foods. I look in the mirror and I'm fat and ugly. I don't like going to gyms or exercising. So she is 100% successful in those results.
Sure. She confirms her theory regularly.
She confirms her theory, but think about it. If she's been successful in that negative behavior, if I teach her a little bit of different way to think and I install the new positive emotions towards those habits that she wants to have, then she could be successful the other way. She's already been successful. So that's a good thing. But she has created the reality. I need to change that. Instead of hating exercise, what would be the opposite to the word hating?
Loving.
Yeah, right. Now you're saying loving, but I leave it up to her. Because for me, it might be loving. For her, it might be, well, I want to feel excited about exercising. Then I might say, well, what does being excited feel like? I want to create the physiology in that emotion. Remember, a word that doesn't trigger the physiology is a weak word. But a word that can create a physical feeling becomes very powerful. And that's a strong emotional response that I want to record, download in the subconscious. Now, think about it. When you're thinking about having sex, you're going into a heightened suggestible state. It's what we call hypersensitivity, form of hypnosis. So then you're engaged and you're having, you're doing your big sexual deal. Then all of a sudden you come too quick.
Sure.
And then your mate
What
says,
guy can't relate to that?
Yeah. But what if the lady says, well, I'm not finished yet. I want you to get hard again.
Sure.
So now you're trying to get sexually aroused, and the more you're trying, the more stress you're getting, the more you're thinking, it's not going to work. And so then all of a sudden you could develop this impotency and this suggestion or this event when you're in a hypnotized state could create a new sexual program that every time now I'm ready to make love to a woman, now I'm thinking about, what if I come too quick, and I'm telling you, then all of a sudden you put this program in. And until you have a good experience again, once you get that really good experience, that can override the old program.
You can build on that.
I mean, when I married my current wife, and I won't talk too much. I don't care. When I married my current wife, shit, man, I thought I needed this Viagra. I'm getting old, and believe me, I was a very sensual, sexual guy.
Sure, well, you're an addict.
Well, yeah. The old days when I had hair and I was in good shape, I was a pretty attractive dude.
Get it
Seriously.
done.
So anyway, I think I need this Viagra to get an erection.
Yeah.
My wife says to me, and my current wife is a real, I find her very sexual and sensual and very spiritual. In many ways, we have this amazing relationship. She says, you don't need it. And I thought I did need it.
Yeah.
So I stopped doing it, and she rewired me because with her, I was very excited.
Yeah.
And so then I realized I didn't need this psychological tool to get an erection.
Can I add one other thing?
Yeah.
Is clearly you were being vulnerable with her because you admitted that you had taken Viagra.
Absolutely.
So you're already opening up and you're admitting your fear.
Right.
And she's saying, hey, don't even worry about that fear.
Yeah.
Right? So isn't that a wonderful place to start?
Yeah. And she didn't say, don't even worry, because that would make me worry. She said, oh, you perform great. You're sexual and you're powerful.
Yeah.
And you'll see. Just throw that stuff away.
Oh, wow.
So, if I say to you, like, look at this is something so simple. And I wish to God people would stop using certain incorrect words. Like, I go out here and I say thank you to somebody, and they say no problem. Well, what the fuck does no problem have to do with saying thank you?
I say that a lot. Yeah.
But no and problem, I'm already putting a message in about a problem. How was your food? Not too bad. Well, was it good? I mean, how bad is too bad?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. No worries. So think about how many times we're getting these suggestions. They're passive suggestions being infiltrated into our psyche, into our mind, without us maybe even being aware. I mean, you say thank you to 10 people and you get this problem and worry. You might go home at night and you're wondering, why am I worried about so many things? But you might not have caught it that almost all of us are walking around going in and out of hypnosis hundreds and thousands of times a day because our brain waves keep changing from beta to alpha to theta to delta, meaning from consciousness to subconscious to consciousness to relaxation. So the brain waves we're going to hook you up to an EEG so you get to see
That's
that.
great.
today.
I'm trying to get one anyway. I'm trying to
this
get
is
into
on the
the
house.
to
Cool.
Cedars to get one anyways. That's
Nice.
perfect.
I want to flag one thing, and I bet it's related to your skepticism, which is Stern has interviewed a couple of very famous magicians. A couple of the different magicians acknowledge that there is a way both to fake read people's minds. They can go into a bar and they can tell a woman they can read their mind, and there's a host of things. They're planting some info that the person doesn't realize. And then 2, they know some statistical stuff, like whether it's 80% of people have this when they wake up. Whatever the thing is, they're playing 2 different games at once, but it is very convincing to the person that their mind is being read.
Right.
So I do think because sometimes magicians employ similar
Suggestions.
subconscious suggestions that might be in the mix of why you're skeptical of it.
Well, part of it is just my brain can't comprehend the science of Guillermo seeing a different person.
But hold on one second, because you don't question at all, right, that people on acid can see things, yeah? That they see things.
Hallucinogenic drugs.
Yeah, sure.
So
sure.
we'll just start from a place of we know the brain is capable of hallucinating.
That's true.
But, you're absolutely right. Most human beings using their intellect think that somebody talking to them or doing a process that they're able to have an illusion, hallucination,
visual shift.
or a full regression back in time to a period in their past where they're reliving it. So most logical people can't understand that.
It's hard to comprehend.
Yeah, but
hard
it's
to
true.
understand. Yeah.
But it doesn't happen on a large percentage of the population.
Right. Yeah.
Now,
Right.
and I've been hypnotized by some of the best.
Yeah.
I cannot go and think that you're Jimmy Kimmel
Right.
or you're Guillermo. It just won't
Right.
work. Now,
Good.
I don't completely lose control, and maybe it's because I don't trust some of the people I'm working with.
Yeah, and you know a lot about what's going on.
And I know what is going on. I think some people have this chemistry in their brain that can switch and create those chemicals that can actually create illusion, hallucination,
Yeah.
amnesia, memory loss, and full regression and past life regression.
Let me add one more element too. You know that when you go to sleep, your brain creates a perfect image of Jimmy Kimmel. You could be having a conversation in your
but
dream
it's
state.
not my visual cortex. It's about the true science.
open.
With your eyes
My
open.
visual
Yeah.
cortex is not shifting in plain sight. But I also have another question about the migraines. So you cured his
Jimmy Kimmel's mom
Yeah.
in like 1 or 2 sessions,
of
you know?
migraines. So that to me is so fascinating because I understand smoking, phobias. I can register that that's psychological and even impotence. I can see that. But migraines is about inflammation, yes? So how
But really quick. So inflammation starts because the body believes it's either suffered trauma or it thinks it needs to send all of the histamines to an area that needs more blood flow to heal it, right? So first, the subconscious or some part of your brain has observed that this area needs. This goes back to I've talked about on here a bunch of times that whole chapter in the McCullough book on Teddy Roosevelt about asthma and how so many people believe asthma is like an eating disorder, a response to a lack of controllability in your environment, and that your brain, because it's so good at protecting you, comes up with this condition that will require you start getting some control over the situation. Everything's got to stop and deal with this kid with asthma. Everything, there are things as complicated as that.
And think about it. Medical doctors say 60% of our physical ailments are mentally induced. How many ailments do we have that are really psychosomatic? Maybe not a brain abnormality or a chemical or organ abnormality. It could be psychological. Plus, if I have migraines and I start thinking, I'm having a migraine, what am I doing? I'm sending that message to my mind to create it.
Yeah.
So
Right.
what I believe I can perceive into reality, because that's the imaginative part of the mind. Now, I've been coming out here a few times. I've been working with this guy's dad who had a severe stroke. Now, when I met him...
Michael again, the fourth person who's not Mike. Yeah.
Yeah, and so when I came over to his house in December, his father was lying in his bed. I know him when he didn't have the stroke, and he's a real angry, mean guy.
Oh, yeah, I love
That's his personality. He's like what we call a dry drunk.
Sure.
They're sober, but they're just angry and discontent.
Yeah.
So anyway, I started working with him, but I hooked the EEG up to him, and I videoed it. I'm learning by testing. I'm just a tester,
Yeah.
I'm a scientific tester. I don't know everything,
Yeah.
but the more I can experiment, the more I can learn. So I hooked the EEG, and what we saw was there was a frequency interruption in the delta state, in the low brainwave. There was a broken electrical interference, almost like a shutdown in part of his brain, the electricity that moves through those neural pathways. But I could see it. And then we worked with a guy in the hospital that had a real severe stroke. And I saw that same frequency interference, lack of a better word, I'm just going to call that. And then one day, the same time that I'm there in December, I tried a little visual imagery. Now, I knew his dad built things. He's one of these man's man kind of guy. So under hypnosis, and I had him on the EEG, I said, I want you to visualize in your mind that you just built this house, and that you're wiring the electricity in the house, and that you're setting up all the wiring and all the outlets and everything. And as soon as I said that, I saw the frequencies start to activate and fire up in the low brain wave, in the low thetas and deltas, but I saw a full balance of electrical connection. And I thought that was fascinating. Then right away, his dad started getting out of bed, with some help. He started moving, and then he started moving both, even the paralyzed side, and doing leg exercises. And so I increased his motivation to get well, not to sit there in a pity party and be angry and mad and wish yourself dead, Yeah. If you wish yourself dead, you're probably going to die of something.
Right.
So I did that, and it worked well.
Okay, so I want to touch on one other thing, and then I want to start fucking with Monica. Okay, so now back to the understanding the techniques, gaining the ability to put people in hypnotic states. Now, what is the therapy side of your training? Like, how do you know which things you should be helping them with therapeutically?
Well, I usually have them email me their goals. Remember, if we can create a little success, then you can create a big success. But if you're always focusing on failing or living in the problem, then you'll live the rest of your life in your problem. Sometimes there's a secondary behavior response. If I'm obese, then that's the excuse why I can't go out and I can't meet men or get in a relationship. So sometimes...
Well, you're building the whole story on top
We're
of
building
that.
a story, but there's a secondary reward for that story. So anyway, it's good to be skeptical, but realize that hypnosis, if it's done scientifically, is a wonderful science used in conjunction with other modalities, with medical procedures. And, I was diagnosed with aggressive advanced prostate cancer. I still have it. And I've had people tell me, well, there's special mushrooms, and they're giving me all these things that I could try, all these holistic approaches. But I really haven't seen real scientific data on it, So I'm using conventional medicine. I had radiation and surgery, but I'm also using my mind to stimulate my immune system. I was given 5 years to live. It's been over 10 years. Does it look like I'm going anywhere?
No.
Hell
you
no.
look virile,
No.
healthy, strong.
Right. And I don't take the suggestions, because remember, even doctors are hypnotists. Take these pills, in a few days you're going to feel better. Is it really the pill? Or is it the suggestion of the pill creating the results?
Okay, so do we need to know from Monica what her goals are before you start working?
Number one, Monica, you'll be completely in control.
Okay.
I know she wanted to hear that.
Also, your
And it's
father's
true.
here. Your father's here to protect you.
No, I'm more scared of you.
Oh, really?
Kind of. You said you like the idea of peeing in
Yeah,
pants.
yeah. Now when I'm working with Monica, you cannot throw suggestion
Yeah.
out.
No, I won't.
Okay.
I won't.
I'm very scared of this.
Oh, good.
Of being hypnotized?
Yes.
Was it because of the Guillermo story?
I think you're going to be a very good candidate.
But I felt better knowing I probably wasn't going to be a good candidate and I was going to not be susceptible. But I think I probably will be susceptible. So what are my goals? Okay, well,
You can't wish for more state championships because that ship has
this
sailed.
might not be possible, but let me know. So this connects to our other show.
Right.
We have another show called Monica and Just Love Boys, which is a relationship dating podcast.
Oh, gosh, you need me on that show.
I know.
Remove
This is
fears,
what I'm thinking.
Social anxieties.
Yes.
Fear of rejection.
So I would love to change and we'll make it simple. When I look at myself in the mirror or in a picture, to like that. Physically, to like that image. Yeah. Can we do that?
To like the image of yourself.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And if you like the image of yourself, how would that make you feel now?
I think
Describe as a feeling.
confident.
Confident. And what's feeling confident? What does feeling confident feel like? What's it feel like? Physically, if you're confident, how would you feel? Would you walk different? Would you speak different? Would you project yourself different around people?
I do feel confident in rooms and talking and stuff like that. But if I walk into a room and there's no talking, I don't feel like I have anything to give.
Okay, so you want to like the way you look when you look in the mirror. And you
So
want
vain.
Me too. Me
It's
too.
so
no.
vain.
I'm just
Me too.
kind of clarifying what we're working on. You'd like to look in the mirror. When you look in the mirror, you'd like to see yourself and like who you are, what you look like, and feel confident in yourself.
I don't want to slow your roll, but
No, go for
I
it.
think this is a great request of hers because I regularly fight with her. I'm like, I wish you could look at yourself through my eyeballs just once.
Right.
Because you're wrong. You're fucking beautiful.
we post pictures on Instagram. 400 of the 1,200 comments are talking about how beautiful Monica is. Her narrative is, oh, they're trying to be kind because they feel bad for me. They know that's
because
an insecure.
she doesn't think it's the truth.
Right, she doesn't.
Yeah. You feel that they're just trying to make you feel better.
Yeah, or like you were best friends, so
Right.
he's seeing sort of a distorted view, or he's bringing in the other
He's seeing
parts.
you in a different way that strangers or other
Correct.
people might see you.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Yeah.
That's her theory, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And true, when you know someone, you do see the whole being versus just the.
You
know.
do. And additionally, you're hot.
Well,
Okay.
See, now you said that, and did you see her response?
She doesn't believe it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, truly doesn't
Yeah.
believe it.
When you were young, were you raised by both parents? Mm-hmm. Were they very physical, kinesthetic?
no,
So they weren't too touchy and feeling?
no, they're very loving, but
Yeah.
but no,
Right.
not physically.
Did they tell you
affectionate.
how beautiful you are and things like that? Do you remember any of that stuff? Just out of curiosity.
It's definitely not what they place any value in. So it was not something they were throwing at me. Like this happened. There was a girl, and I was like, oh, I really want to look like her. She has really short legs, and I want that. And my mom was like, people want long legs. So that's the end. So it wasn't really hearing me, but it was like, oh, you're wrong about that, but we're moving on to a different topic now.
Did they care more about your success or your intelligence?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now you see, this is interesting. You see, I'm just asking some questions, but if I'm getting some kind of validation that this is kind of the way she was raised and things like that, I'm creating a little bit more rapport with you and understanding. And I do understand that you want to look into the mirror, you want to see yourself, see your face and everything, and really like the way you feel and feel confident about that and feel in your own way, if you want to call it beautiful or attractive or desirable, whatever that feeling is, you want to look in the mirror and say, wow, that's who I am, and I like the way I look.
Yeah.
And I feel confident in that way.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I like
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. Oh, this would be great if you turn into a bitch.
I know.
Like you come in here like your shit don't stink because you're hot. You finally know you're hot, and then you're fucking insufferable.
See,
I'm gonna bring him back to unprogram you.
He's making it tough for me. You're trying to.
Sorry.
You know.
Two steps
He's
backwards.
sabotaging. You're sabotaging me.
I would love that. You fucking show up in the red Baywatch outfit. And you're late. You're an hour late.
No, my goal is for you to look in the mirror and say, I really appreciate and like who I am, and I like the way I look.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter the way anyone else looks or they feel. It's a personal deal. It's an inside deal. If you appreciate the miracle of who you are and the way you look and the beauty in it, there's no one else like you. And you look in the mirror and say, I truly give myself permission to love and appreciate who I am, the way I look, and the way I feel, and the confidence within me that no other human being can ever take away. And it's not for sale. Yes.
You're onto something amazing right now, and I can't believe I've never thought of it.
Tell
I think
me.
part of this huge hurdle is you're wanting your look to be this thing that already existed, but as he just said, you're your original thing, and the thing is beautiful. Now, yes, you can't point to 25 magazines where it exists, and you can't point to 25 leads of TV shows where it exists, but that in no way means that this thing that's new for us isn't unbelievably beautiful. You're just the first to show it to us.
It's a Michelangelo. It's a work of art.
I'm not going to try to get you to believe you look like everyone else that's on TV and in magazines.
And why should you?
But I want you to believe that the version of you is insanely attractive.
And enjoy your natural beauty.
Yeah.
Yeah, because bitch, it'll be gone soon enough, and you're gonna be looking at
I know, we
photos.
gotta do
going,
this
Fuck,
now.
I missed
Yeah, we
it."
got to do it now. You resonate that natural beauty, but you now need to know it's an inside deal, that
Yeah.
you truly feel it when you look into a mirror. So let me hook up the EEG. Let's check this out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we did is we just attached Monica to an electroencephalograph brainwave frequency monitoring device. So it's going to monitor the predominant brainwave frequencies of what we call beta, alpha, theta, and delta. And the frequency range is about 0.1 to 30 hertz. What changes in the brain waves and the frequencies actually affect our physiology. And so when people become calm, their nervous systems also calm down and balance.
I love that we've moved into the experiment phase of Armchair Expert, where we're experimenting on our lab rat.
We're doing. Oh, there,
Look how
there
cute
he
she
goes.
looks.
You hear that suggestion? Lab rats.
I'll stay out of it.
First
I'm
time
gonna be
touching on the
counterproductive.
count of 3, you have to go to the bathroom real bad. Yeah, I'll show him. So now I'm turning on the EEG, and we're going to see that there's activity, which will, number one, tell me you're alive, which we already know. But I'm seeing brainwave activity here.
Oh my God.
Think about the mind operating like a light bulb. A light bulb operates on voltage, just like the mind operates on these hertz frequencies. But light also operates on current. They call it amplitude, and that's the intensity of the current. Think about emotions as having intensity, low emotions and high emotional intensity. Now, if you felt really confident and loved the way you look, that would be a high positive emotional state that would stimulate endorphins and a lot of really good energy. You'd stand taller, you'd walk taller, you'd smile more, and then you tie it. You kind of like what we might call integrate that. The thought, the visual imagery looking in the mirror, and then the feeling. And then we have a full body and mind integration.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
So here we go, and I'm testing this. So now we're going to look at her brainwaves.
Oh, look at the landscape of your thought.
So looking at this, I would say, because I see a lot of activity going on here in theta and delta, that Monica, a lot of times you might not show it, but you have a lot of different kinds of emotion that goes on internally within yourself and within your body. I'm not judging if it's positive or negative because I don't know, but I can see that you tend to be interperspective and analytical emotionally quite a bit. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And we see the brainwave activities here. And so this measures the conscious. This is a state of relaxation. This is a subconscious. Okay, so we're going to begin. So your goal, I just want to clarify it, just to repeat it one time. It's the way I reinforce it also consciously, is that every time you look in the mirror and you see your face in the mirror, we're not talking about other parts, but you see your face, you'll feel very happy about the way you look, very joyful. Whatever feelings you want to feel, they'll be all positive about the way you look, 100%. You know, not picking apart anything, but looking at the full package and saying, wow, I really love the way I look. And when I look in the mirror and I love this way I look now, I feel confident in myself more every single day and in every way. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to begin now. I'm going to make an agreement with you, a contract with you. I'm here to work with you, to do a few little techniques to put you into that receptive state of hypnosis. And all I want you to do is follow my instructions. They're just simple instructions. I just want you to do it instantly, easily, and automatically without thinking. Take your critical mind, because you are you're a high thinker, high analytical. So take that critical part of your mind, put it in the corner of the room, let it drift in thoughts. You don't have to second guess. Is it working? Is it not working? Am I hypnotized or not? None of that stuff really means anything to me. What means something to me is the results. I'm a results-driven human being. And as long as you simply follow my instructions and let the suggestions become recorded into your subconscious biocomputer, into that hard drive, into your subconscious mind, we're going to be able to remove all of those false impressions of yourself that you've been holding on to today. And you say false impressions. And once you realize they are false impressions, then the truth is, your true impression is, I really love and appreciate and like the way I look in every way. Okay, so we're going to begin. Do I have your permission to hypnotize you? Yes. Okay, good. I want you, again, just follow my instructions. Place your hands on your lap, okay? So we're just going to work on increasing your state of focus concentration. So I want you to look down at your hands. Now, as you look at your hands, I want you to just relax your hands. Whatever the word relaxation means to you, let your hands just become kind of loose, limp, and relaxed. Maybe you can imagine them relaxed on your lap. Maybe you can just visualize or make believe or just pretend what it would feel like if you just let the muscle control of your hands and fingers go and feel a warmth or a little tingling feeling or a little heaviness or relaxation with your hands resting on your lap. Now, I want you to close your eyes and do everything I ask you to instantly, easily, and automatically. So with your eyes closed, as your hands are resting gently and easily and peacefully on your lap, I want you to just follow these simple instructions. We're going to just do a little bit of a physical technique, interactive therapy. You're participating in the goal that you are going to reach today. It's already happening. And that goal is every time I look into a mirror and I see myself, I'm going to love, appreciate, and respect the beauty I truly have in my face and in my heart and in my life. And that represents my confidence. So with your eyes closed now, I want you with your eyes closed now to feel a feeling of relaxation moving into every muscle, nerve, fiber, and tissue in your body. And when I count to 3, I want you to keep your eyes closed. But when I count to 3 and I reach 3, I want you then to lift your left hand up in front of your face. Not yet. But when I count to 3 and I reach 3, I want you to keep your eyes closed, and I want you to lift your left hand up in front of your face with the palm of your hand facing your face, just about a foot away from your face. So I just gave you the instructions. When I count to 3, you'll keep your eyes closed. You'll lift your left hand up in front of your face with the palm of your hand facing your face, just about a foot away from your face. So nod your head yes if you understand those instructions. Good. Okay, we're going to begin. And again, it doesn't matter what you're thinking. It's just a technique. This is part of the process. So now 1, 2, 3. Lift that left hand up right there. Good, with your eyes closed. So now you've lifted that hand up with your eyes closed. You know that's the truth. It's not imagination. This isn't visual imagery. This is the truth. You have lifted your hand up in front of your face because you simply followed that instruction perfectly. So nod your head yes to know that's the truth. You're also going to know that the truth is every time that you look into the mirror, you're going to really love and respect and appreciate your looks, your quality, your uniqueness, your own natural beauty that no other human being can possess because it's yours. So when I count to 3, keep your eyes closed. But when I count to 3, I want you to imagine or make believe or simply follow the instructions. When I count to 3, I want you to imagine I'm placing little wooden wedges, little pieces of wood in between the fingers of your left hand. And when I count to 3, I want you to instantly and automatically allow the fingers of your left hand to tug and pull apart from each other, just your left hand on the count of 3. So on the count of 3, imagine it. And on the count of 3, just let it happen and let those fingers pull apart from each other on the count of 3, just your left hand. And now 1, 2, 3. Let them pull apart, all the way apart, all the way further, 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 further apart, further apart, further apart, further, as far apart as they can go. Right there, perfect. That's excellent. Wonderful concentration. So the next part of the technique is simply to increase a state of magnified concentration to reach a peak of suggestibility so you'll be able to go into hypnosis today. I'm just giving you the instruction, but you're the one allowing yourself to have that experience. And I know you really want to have this experience because it's time for a reality shift, for a change in your life. So when I count to 3 and I reach 3 and I say the word focus, I want you to slowly let that left hand pull onto your face, only when I count to 3 and I say the word focus. And when the hand touches your face, I want you to let that hand rest and relax on your face. When I count to 3 and I say the word focus, you can even imagine that there's a powerful magnet in the palm of that hand, a powerful magnet on your face and forehead. And when 2 magnets face in the right direction, magnetically, they pull together. So when I count to 3 and I say focus, I want you to slowly let your left hand pull in towards your face or forehead. And when it touches your face or forehead, I want you to let it rest on your face or forehead. On the count of 3, I want you just to slowly let that hand pull in towards your face, slowly. 1, 2, 3, focus, slowly let it come in. And when it touches your face, let it rest on your face and forehead. Good, that's perfect, excellent, wonderful concentration. You're doing it. I'm giving you the suggestions. You're allowing a change in your life, a reality shift in your life to happen today. And it's going to happen because there's no one going to stand in the way, including your old self. So as your hand is touching your face, when I count from 3 down to 0, keep your hand where it is on your face. But as I count from 3 down to 0, I want you to slowly let your head drop down, like dropping forward. But I want you to leave your hand where it is, right on your face. And now 3, leave your hand where it is on your face. Slowly let your head drop down. 2, leave your hand where it is on your face. Head getting heavier. Hand still on your face. Leave your hand on your face. 1, head dropping down. Leave your hand right on your face. Good, that's perfect. So we've broke through any conscious resistance just now. And that's perfect. You are ready to access your subconscious mind. You're ready to put in a new, wonderful, powerful program in your life that no other human being, including your old self, will ever be able to take away, because this is a goal that you are going to achieve, and you really know that it's going to happen today. So when I count from 3 down to 0 and I reach 0, and I say the word go, I want you then to keep your eyes closed, keep your head down just like that. But then I want you to instantly let your hand drop onto your lap. Not yet. When I count from 3 down to 0 and I reach 0 and I say the word go, I want you to instantly let your hand drop onto your lap, to keep your eyelids closed, to keep your head down the way it is. And I want you to access your subconscious biocomputer so that you can work with me to reprogram an old behavior, an old habit, an old mindset out of your life and to install a very new, positive, really thrilling, exciting mindset. So when I count from 3 down to 0 and I reach 0 and I say the word go, your hand will drop down, your body will relax. You go into hypnosis. 3, 2, 1, 0, go! Hand dropping. Now let your entire body relax with your eyes closed. And I want you to think to yourself silently, I give myself permission to gently relax the muscles on top of my head and allow this relaxation to move into my eyelids, relaxing the muscles in my face and cheeks and jaw. So simply allow this relaxation now with your eyes closed now. Allow yourself to relax gently the muscles on top of your head. Whatever it feels like 100 little fingers gently massaging the muscles down the sides of your face, cheeks, and jaw. Maybe on one of your exhales, you'll even let your mouth drop open just a little bit, Monica, to relax the muscles in your mouth. Just a little bit more relaxed. Letting go, letting yourself go into the most receptive, beautiful, wonderful state of suggestibility to empower you to have a new life change. And I want you to take this relaxation as though every muscle, nerve, fiber, and tissue in your body is becoming loose and limp and relaxed, just as though yesterday's gone and tomorrow's 1,000 miles away, and all that matters is yourself just letting go and creating a life change in your life that truly is so meaningful, important, and so real for you to have right now. Now, as you are receptive into hypnosis, we talked about a goal that you really want to achieve, and that goal that you stated to me verbally that you wanted to achieve was the goal of every time that you look into the mirror and you look at your face, you're going to really love and appreciate your looks 100%, unconditionally, feeling confident, feeling your own natural beauty that no other human being can possess, that's yours, that you own. But before we do that, we want to remove the old negative mindset, the old self-critical part of your mind. So with your eyes closed and your entire body relaxed, I'm going to command the suggestion to your own subconscious biocomputer to work with me. Subconscious mind, I want you to work with me today. Monica's subconscious mind, work with me today. Monica, on the count of 3, to imagine you're taking that old false impression, that lie that you had been living with when you looked into the mirror, that false impression of who you really are. I want you to take that old habit. It's just an old habit. It's nothing more than just an old physical habit. So when I count to 3, I want you to take that old habit from your mind. You're not going to feel it. It's just an old habit. It's just an old mindset. It's just an old program. It's like a mental virus. I want you to take it from your mind. On the count of 3, place it at your right hand and arm on the count of 3. And on the count of 3, I want you to let your right hand and arm lift all the way up into the air on the count of 3. The right hand and arm. 1, 2, 3, all the way up. Right hand, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. Leave that hand in the air. That hand in the air represents an old habit that you have been holding on to until now. Think to yourself, my hand in the air represents that I am subconsciously giving myself permission to let that old habit and that old way of thinking go. That when I look into the mirror, I'm going to remove now that old impression that I had towards myself. And when I say the word delete, I want you to let it go 100%. And when you're truly ready to let it go, consciously and subconsciously, that hand will fall instantly onto your lap, And you'll let that old mindset go. You'll let that old habit go. When you're ready, when I say that one word and you become ready to release it, delete it, to remove it out of your life, that hand will drop down. And it'll drop down instantly onto your lap or onto the chair. Delete. Remember, when you're ready to let it go, that hand will drop all the way down because you want to let it go. You want to remove it from your mind. And when you're truly ready, that hand will drop down and you'll let it go. You'll delete it. You know, it's all right to let go of that self-criticism once and for all. Think to yourself, it's okay for me to delete that feeling I had towards the way I looked. It's okay to let it go. That hand wants to drop. You're trying to hold it back. No. Give yourself permission to let it go. It's about time right here, right now. Give yourself permission to delete it out of your life, a false impression of yourself. Give yourself permission to let it go. Let that hand drop. Let it go. Let it go. Delete it. Erase it. Remove it. Let your head drop down. Head dropping down more. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Delete it. And imagine it being erased out of your mind, out of your body. It's a false impression of yourself you've been holding on to for many years. You can let it go now. You have the power and think to yourself, I've deleted, erased it, removed it, dissolved it, neutralized it, detached it, thrown it in a trash bin in a computer and emptied it. Can't be accessed. It's gone. Can't be felt because it's gone. Like yesterday's gone. Like the ocean and waves move out to the sea and that wave is gone. That water's gone. Like a little grain of sand held in your hand, thrown onto the beach, and the billions and trillions of other pieces of sand is gone. You've let it go. Think to yourself, I have let it go. Proud of myself. I feel good about this decision. I have deleted it. Think to yourself, I have deleted it. Now, it's just nod your head, yes. Go ahead, good. It's okay. Whatever purpose it suited in your past, it's no longer. You're no longer the person of the past. With your eyes closed now, I want to install a feeling of feeling confident that every time you look into a mirror and you see your face, you're going to love and appreciate and respect every part of your face, your eyes, your cheeks, your lips, everything, because it's you. It's 100% you, who you are. And you're going to feel that feeling on the inside. And it's going to increase your confidence because you realize that your true beauty, no other human being in the whole world can ever have or possess because it's something you own. And I want you to think that I own my ability of knowing and loving my natural beauty. With your eyes closed, when I count to 3 and I say the word confident, I want you to slowly let your other hand lift into the air, the left hand. Each time I say that one word, slowly let that left hand lift into the air. When I count to 3 and I say that one word, I already told you the word. I don't need to repeat it. But when I count to 3 and I say that one word, slowly let your left hand lift into the air till that left hand goes all the way up into the air. 1, 2, 3. Confident. Let that left hand go higher. Confident. Confident. All the way up. All the way up. All the way up. Make a fist with that hand right now. Stiffen the muscles in the hand and arm. Real tight. Real strong. Real powerful. Real powerful confidence that no other human being could ever take away from you ever again. In a moment when I come up to you and I give a little pull on your hand and I say the word install, the hand will drop down. Your body will relax. And this new mindset will become part of your life, part of your present, part of your future, and part of your life forever. Now, install, hand dropping, let it go. Okay. Install it. Install it in your subconscious right now. When I count up to 5 and I reach 5, and I say the word confident, you're going to open your eyes, feeling great. But I'm going to give you a post-hypnotic suggestion. Every time that you look into the mirror and you see yourself, that looking back at you, your true reflection of yourself, you're going to know from your heart to your soul to your spirit that you are beautiful. That you are beautiful and that every part of your face is just so amazing, so truly amazing that you'll be thankful now about the way you look and the way you feel, because the way you feel is confident. No other human being, no matter who they are, can take away that confidence. They reinforce that feeling. I love and respect myself. I love my face. I love when I look in the mirror, the fact that I now own and possess the most beautiful belief system that I have about how I look. With your eyes closed, just breathing and feeling good about this. Just feeling good, feeling positive, feeling happy, feeling confident. Let a little smile start to grow on your face with your eyes closed. Don't hold it back. Let that smile start to grow. Let that smile start to grow just a little bit more. Good. Every time you smile, you realize that now you have made this wonderful life change. And every time you look in the mirror and you see your face and see who you are, you're going to say, man, thank you for everything that I own and possess. And I feel beautiful. That smile growing a little more. Try to hold it and grows. It's going to grow back a little more. That smile's growing a little bit more. And when I count up to 5 and I say the words, feeling fantastic, you'll open your eyes and there is a new life change, and your energy will come back, and you'll have this wonderful, beautiful glow about you, this aura, this energy, this dynamic, charismatic energy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, feeling fantastic. Eyes open. Nice. And here comes the brainwaves back. Nice.
Oh,
They were gone.
They were
They were gone. They were gone. That's beautiful.
Monica, they were
Now look at the
gone.
difference. You see the difference?
Oh my!
You see that?
God.
Yeah. Wow, what a great process.
Oh, that was great.
You-
Monica, look at that screen. I'm telling you, it was all blue. It was flat blue. With,
The other thing I found interesting is part of you was holding on to letting it go. Part of you, I don't know if it's that you didn't think you deserved to let it go or that it was so ingrained inside you, but part of you was kind of resisting to accept the new life change.
can I compare this to something that you'll understand implicitly?
Okay.
Is the 7-step prayer. So, God, take all my defects of character,
Yes.
right? Remove all my defects of character.
Yes.
I said that prayer for years, but admitting to myself, there are some character defects I actually don't want removed, or I'm afraid to have removed.
Right.
So I'm not really asking sincerely for the removal of them.
Right.
Some I am. I can feel the ones I want to go away.
Right.
And there are other ones I just think, I don't know, that's too much of me. And I would imagine, like me, I've built this entire identity around I'm not this thing, so I'm this thing. And that thing has yielded me so much positive results that I'd be really afraid to let go of that thing.
And think about it. If it's truly gone, which I believe it is, this opens up a lot more opportunity and excitement in your life because part of it has restricted a little bit your journey because it affected your self-worth. Remember, I said it affected. That's in the past.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you remember all the...
I do. I
Uh-huh.
do. I feel
Okay.
like I remember it really clearly.
Okay.
Weirdly, the letting go felt harder and maybe like, I don't know if I did that properly versus the other part, versus the adding. The adding, I could feel that a little more viscerally. The installation, yeah.
Right.
Felt,
As opposed to the delete.
The deleting, I don't.
You're nervous.
I'm nervous that I just let my hand drop eventually because I was like, it's been up for a while.
Right. And whether you let your hand drop or it drop down by itself really doesn't mean anything.
Right.
It's just part of the mechanics of the process.
Yeah.
But to see that it's something, and for some reason, I'm not sure what it is because I don't know you, but a part of you has been holding on to this thing so dearly.
Yeah.
Almost like holding on to a life preserver in the ocean for some reason. But yet it's been detrimental in your true life, in every aspect of your life. And I don't know if it's guilt that, how can I let it go so quickly? Or is it something that that I need for protection or what?
Yeah.
But whatever it was, doesn't matter.
See, I think it's this. God dealt me lemons, but I've made lemonade out of it.
There you go.
And if I'm agreeing to let go of the lemons, I'll no longer have the lemonade. So there's all this part that we like because we've built this whole...
And we've become comfortable in it. Uncomfortably comfortable. And you have the ability when you go home or wherever to look in that mirror and see a different impression of yourself.
Because I did have a thought at one point where I was like, oh, I probably look kind of stupid with my jaw like this. But then I thought, I don't care.
You
But
didn't
I
care.
had the thought
Yeah.
of like, oh no, I look at my
But
mouth is open.
what's so funny about that is the voice in our head, but to see you relaxed
Yeah.
or to see you smile is wonderful. I see how you feel.
Yeah.
And remember one thing, overthinking, over analytical, it doesn't work for you. It doesn't work for
Right.
most of us. An overthinking person will undermine any beauty and opportunity they have in their life because they'll find something to sabotage.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do that anymore. But again, a lot of it's based on sometimes of our programming.
Yeah.
What our parents may have said or what they didn't say. I was programmed with pure trust and confidence in myself. And it's created a great ride and a great life. And thanks to AA, I've been able to become a better person over these past, 12 years. Because I am truly now more of service than I ever was. I'm not more of selfish, I'm more of service. And I thank God. I love that feeling because it's not about me anymore. You know what that's like.
Yeah.
And when I was working with you, all I saw was that you as a beautiful person have an opportunity right now to unconditionally love and respect and appreciate your looks, who you are, when you look in the mirror. And so now it's just up to you to accept that program was recorded. We saw the EEG. You were there.
Yeah.
On a spectrum of 0 to 10, 10 is you could make somebody hallucinate.
Right.
0 is you can't even get their brain monitor to shut off. Where would you say Monica is
I would
on
say
the
she was
spectrum?
a good 5 to 6.
Okay.
Yeah, in all reality.
Yeah.
You know, you were cognitive, and I knew that was going on. I kind of have an impression of who you are as a person, a lot of internal dialogue, but you follow the suggestions. There was that resistance and really believing you could let it go.
Well, I didn't want to just drop it. I was
I think
also
that was
fighting
great.
that because I'm also a little bit of a people pleaser and a A+ student.
Yeah, follow the
so
rules.
a part of me was like, I know I'm supposed to drop
Have
this.
a breakthrough here.
But you know what?
Yeah.
All during that, her brainwaves were
Yeah,
still
that's
low.
crazy.
know.
They were still low.
Yeah.
There was a point where there were maybe 2 little waves of those
Blips.
balls that were so low, maybe 1 or 2 in alpha and in theta, meaning that you were still aware, but you weren't resistant.
Yeah.
That's the whole difference. Awareness and resistance are 2 different things.
Yeah,
You know,
for
and the other
sure.
thing is, I like people to remember my suggestions. Not if we're doing the silly, goofy stuff, or if I'm removing trauma, maybe I'll erase that stuff or deleting a file. But I want you to remember in the first person what I said, because in the first person, those suggestions are your conscious affirmations to stimulate
Exactly.
your new emotional feelings when you look in the mirror and feel confident. But if you didn't remember anything, how are you going to reinforce it?
Yeah.
It's a habit, and that's what it was. This has been an old conditioned behavioral habit, and you override it with a new conditional behavioral habit. What was that? I had time distortion. Was that like 20 minutes?
I had
10
time
minutes?
distortion
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I had no
Yeah.
idea.
See, I had time distortion, a key aspect of
I
hypnotism.
did.
Yeah.
Yep.
That happens to us on here occasionally. We have somebody on. We've had a few different people that were so mind-blowingly fascinating. We've had 2 hours go by in what we would have all sworn on our lives that only 20 minutes had gone by. And that's that state
Yeah.
of flow.
That is pure engagement, because I
Yeah.
felt the same way.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but it is your frontal cortex that is holding the concept of time to begin with.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
it's like time is a concept that we have to actively engage. And then when it goes away, we really aren't thinking that way, right?
Absolutely.
Can I tell you why I liked it so much?
Yeah.
He wasn't telling you that when you wake up, you're going to look in the mirror and see someone that's 6'2". At no point was anyone asking of you something that isn't completely doable because you are so beautiful. Like I was watching it going, I believe this because it's not a big ask. It feels like a big ask to you, but it's not a big ask.
And you probably could have. I mean, that would be adjacent to, one of these other sillier ones of looking in the mirror and seeing someone 6'2".
Which would be great because if I was then above you in the mirror by a foot, you'd have to just do the math and say I'm 7'3".
Yeah, exactly.
But again, also look at it. It's just getting rid of an old habit, because that is a habit. I don't care what you want to call it. It's
Yeah.
just a habit.
Yeah.
Old behavior and creating a new behavior. Yeah.
Well, Tom,
Yes, sir.
that was so
That was cool,
Fun.
man.
So fun.
enlightening,
Thanks.
sincere, wonderful. Thank you so much for giving us that experience.
Yes,
Gosh,
thank
my
you.
pleasure.
Yeah.
See, I didn't say no problem. My pleasure.
Oh, I like that.
We were all on this journey. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
This has been a journey together, all of us.
It's wonderful.
You know?
Kind of felt like a great meeting does.
Yeah. Oh, well, we did have a little bit of a mini meeting here.
Always.
All it takes is 2 alcoholics.
That's
you know?
right.
And so that's neat, because we also have a special bond.
Yep.
Doing the deal, making it happen, being part, doing the steps, right?
Yeah. Into action.
In the action. That's it. Exactly. All righty. Well, the book is Kill the Hypnotist. It's really based on the real true events of my life, the good, the bad, and humiliating. And it's a really fantastic book because I went from self-centeredness, addiction, and cancer into being a victor in my life, but also into really being there to help change other people's lives and to do my best to restore the morality of the Taiwan Navy. So it's a really good true life story. KillTheHypnotist.com.
KillTheHypnotist.com, written by your lovely wife, Suzanne.
Yes, and thank you, Suzanne. Well, thanks for having
Oh,
me.
Tom, you're such a
Thank
delight. Thank you guys so
you.
much.
All right, thanks, you guys.
And now my favorite part of the show, the fact check with my soulmate, Monica Padman.
We're still recording remotely, just FYI.
Yeah.
So
P.S.
You're still in Austin. I'm still in Los Angeles. It's still
Yeah.
raining.
Yeah.
So I got hypnotized. It was fascinating. I was fully aware. I could tell you every single thing that happened, which he said happens. I guess I don't know what I was expecting to feel, but I wasn't sure if I felt what I was supposed to feel.
I think you had an idea that like there would be a time lapse in your life. Is that accurate?
Yeah, maybe. Like
that you would have been talking and then all of a sudden you would wake up and we'd all be looking at you and 30 minutes had gone by that you were unaware of.
Right.
Is that what you kind of thought?
I mean, I hadn't really thought too much about it because, to be honest, like I don't know if I said this on the episode or not, I was very skeptical of hypnosis, and I didn't really necessarily think I was going to be capable of getting hypnotized. Ours was low key, so that was nice and good. It wasn't like Guillermo and peeing the pants, so I don't know what would have happened if that was my hypnosis. Like, I wonder if I would be susceptible to something like that.
I think an obvious hurdle you were up against was there's no way you could have ever forgot that there were a bunch of people in the room staring at you. Like, if you were just one-on-one with him in his office, do you think maybe it would have been a different experience, or that you would have maybe gone deeper, for lack of a better word?
Maybe, although the hypnosis show that you saw, it was on a cruise ship, and like there's strangers everywhere.
Right. Well, yeah, it was in an auditorium in Salt Lake, but yeah.
Oh, well, there was people everywhere is my point. So, and I think that's what, in my head, that's what I think of hypnosis, is just like going into a trance, like being so unaware of anyone or thing around you. And I definitely wasn't. I was aware of Rob taking pictures and that you were sitting there, but I was very relaxed.
Yeah.
Like, I knew you guys were there, but I didn't really care that you were there.
Well, there was 3 moments where I thought this is working. One, obviously, the brain scanner was very, very obvious, and he didn't hit anything. You know what I'm saying? He was not monkeying with the computer to trick it.
Right.
2, the way you drooped your head and let your jaw loose, I thought she wouldn't do that. And then when you smiled at the end, it was a very unself-conscious, joyous smile that I don't think you could have just manufactured or got yourself to. I think you might have appeased him with a smile, but he was like, you really feel happy. And your smile looked like you were 8 years old and it was Christmas morning. It was definitely beyond what you would do acting-wise. I was just getting elated with the notion of you looking in the mirror and seeing what we all see. It was so exciting. I really wanted it to be impactful, you know?
Yeah, I felt really self-conscious listening back and editing. I felt really self-conscious that was going to come off as a very vain goal.
Yeah.
And maybe it is. Like, I can't say that it's not.
Vain would be, I want to think I'm the hottest person in the world. Self-love would be, I want to love the image I see in the mirror.
Right.
And that's all you were asking for.
Yeah.
You want to love the reflection you see, as you should.
Yeah. I'm definitely of the camp that what's on the inside matters more than what's on the outside. And so I feel a little yucky being like, I just want to like the image, but it's just the truth.
Well, and they're not as separated as we think.
Yeah.
In our own minds. Like, in our own minds, there's 2 things. There's my personality, Dax's personality, and then Dax's looks. But there's not a clear line between those 2 things. You can't be observing my face without seeing my personality.
Yeah.
And same with you. It's almost impossible unless you catch someone in a daze.
Or a seizure.
Yeah.
I wish they'd.
Well, no, that's very I think that's on brand with your personality, a seizure.
Ugh.
Don't you a little bit? Like clenching, controlling.
Oh no.
Tightening.
Oh,
come on, these are things you tell me about yourself.
Yeah, no, they're true. I know they're true.
Yeah. Like Rob McElhenney, he has a seizure. You're like, oh yeah, can't believe it took this long to see one. Right?
I don't know him enough to be able to say that. Although I feel very flattered that we're in the same grouping.
Yeah.
Because he's really smart.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of type A in nature, even though it's not.
Yeah.
I'm sure it has nothing to do with that. But
Well, it's actually not type A in nature because it's a complete lack of control.
it is, but the manner in which like you're so tense.
Right.
Like if Ryan had a condition where he all of a sudden passed out without warning and then just shit his pants, you go, yeah, that's exactly what I would expect his condition to be. Or Aaron's, my best friend Aaron Weekly.
Oh boy. Anyway, so I'm so glad we did that and we had him on. He was such a sweet guy.
He was so sweet. And I just got to say, just the concept of having him on, I was like, I don't know where this goes. And then I found him to be very intoxicating. I just could see the pureness of his beliefs.
Yes.
Whether it worked or not, or you were hypnotized or not. The fact that guy, he was just saying the things that like you would pray your voice in your head said to you.
Of
and he knew the
course.
perfect things to say.
Yes.
And I don't know if that's a common thing people ask him to hypnotize them for, but it seemed like he had done that a million times because he knew exactly. Like he didn't say, I want you to see that you're hotter than Christy Brinkley. It was like, I want you to see that you're the only person that looks this way. How special.
Regardless of whether it worked or not, which I will get into that because I'm sure people are wondering if it worked when I looked in the mirror 5 minutes later.
Oh, yeah.
If it was like a beautiful mantra, regardless.
Yeah.
So we don't have a mirror in the attic. So I didn't really get to look, but I did do a Marco Polo maybe like 10 minutes after, in which case you're pretty much staring at your face. And I did not feel like, oh my God, I like this. But I also did not feel negative feelings when I looked at myself on Marco Polo, which I do often.
Oh, yeah. As soon as I fire that thing up, I'm like, Jesus Christ, what is the angle that will work here?
I know.
What is the lighting source I need? Because this is all wrong.
I know. That's how I feel. But I didn't feel it. And I don't think I've really felt much of that at all since I've been hypnotized. Again, I'm not looking in the mirror and thinking, oh my gosh, I look beautiful. I don't feel that. But the negativity, I feel like, has dissipated, if not gone away.
I also have to imagine that normally you'd go to him 3 or 4 times. I think you should keep going to him.
I would like to. I liked him so much. So he said that Thomas Edison came up with a lot of his ideas at the beginning of sleep. First few hours are called precognitive sleep. So I couldn't find really much on precognitive sleep. There is a thing called precognitive dreams. Those are dreams that appear to predict the future through a sixth sense. So an example would be, it's precognition. So an example would be, Mary had a dream that she's pregnant and then 3 weeks later discovers she's pregnant in real life. It's not really a psychic dream because Mary had access to plenty of unconscious insight. Her body gave her some subtle signals and she knew she'd been trying to conceive. We all have intuitive dreams like this. They express our innermost hopes and fears based on unconscious information that we may or may not be repressing.
See, I was interpreting precognitive sleep as being that tiny little margin between being aware and then actually dreaming.
Yes, that is what he said it was.
And I have experienced that many times where I'm not lucid and I'm not dreaming and I'll get an idea for a project and then I kind of have to shake myself awake to write it down.
Totally. Yeah, there is this like moment. I was kind of looking for the exact name for that and I couldn't find it. There is something called hypnagogia.
Okay.
Also referred to as hypnagogic or gogic hallucinations. It's the experience of the transitional state from wakefulness to sleep. Mental phenomena that may occur during this threshold consciousness phase include hallucinations, lucid thought, lucid dreaming, and sleep paralysis. Okay,
Yeah.
so he mentioned somnambulism, which I was looking up. Couldn't find much information on that. But there was somnambulism that is sleepwalking. That's another word for sleepwalking.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
You had that. You had somnambulism.
Yeah, as a child, but to my knowledge, not as an adult. Although I have told you I have done some weird things in my sleep. Where like one time I woke up because I heard Carrie yelling, "Put me down! Put me down! Wake up! Put me down!" And I opened my eyes and I was holding Carrie
like by the rib cage. I was laying on my back. My arms were straight out, and she was completely in the air. I was holding her like a newborn baby, but on my back, and she was just in the air. And I just picked her up in my sleep and was holding her with stiff arms.
Oh my God, that's terrifying.
Yeah, the other thing I did to her too was she was sleeping and she woke up and she was being rotated. I woke up and I rotated her 180 degrees so her head was at the bottom of the bed and her feet were at the pillow.
Wow. That's crazy. But Bree or Kristen have not said anything like that.
I have, I think, punched Kristen in my sleep. Not hard. Yeah, not hard, but she's gotten walloped a couple times in my sleep.
Well, that's just like you're flailing a little bit and you got
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think if I was having a dream where I was fist fighting a guy at a bar and I gave Kristen my hardest right in the middle of the night, she would have definitely had a big black eye or a broken nose. So none of that has happened.
It's dangerous sleeping next to you.
It's a wild ride, Mr. Toad.
Okay, so Dr. Mesmer, father of hypnosis, he said that was around 1775. So he lived 1734 to 1815.
Look at that, 80 years in the 1700s. This is the big misnomer about ages. I got to get on my high horse about it.
Okay.
It's so misleading. We think that everyone died at 40 in the 1700s. And just, again, those mortality rates are so impacted by infant mortality rates. So it really drops the whole number. You look at any of these scientists we all know of and love, like Newton and all these people, Galileo, they all lived a very long time. And now here we got the father of hypnosis putting out 80 years. I just want to point that out.
Yeah. He was a German doctor with an interest in astronomy. He theorized the existence of a natural energy transference occurring between all animated and inanimate objects. This he called animal magnetism, sometimes later referred to as mesmerism. Mesmer's theory attracted a wide following between about 1780 and 1850 and continued to have some influence until the end of the 19th century. In 1843, the Scottish Dr. James Braid proposed the term hypnosis for a technique derived from animal magnetism. Today, the word mesmerism generally functions as a synonym of hypnosis.
And all these historical biographies I read, do you know, mediums were so popular. They were mainstream. Like there's been seances in the White House.
Right.
Even like some prominent scientists in the day believed in it and did them.
Yeah, we've become sort of a culture of skepticism
Yeah.
over the years, mainly led by you.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so is the frontal cortex holding the concept of time? The diverse brain regions associated with the sense of time. Frontal cortex, basal ganglia, parietal cortex, cerebellum, and hippocampus are responsible for receiving, associating, and interpreting information in fractions of milliseconds, seconds, and minutes.
So a guy got a railroad spike through the front of his head, and he was brought to the hospital, and they, I don't know, I assume sewed that area up. They removed the railroad spike, and all the doctors were completely amazed that he still knew his name, knew where he worked, all this stuff, right? And they could see all this horrendous damage to the frontal lobe, and they soon discovered the only thing he could not do anymore is he could not think of tomorrow. He could not conceptualize the future. And when they asked him what it felt like to try to think of tomorrow, he said it felt like he was just in a white room with no windows or doors. And then that's when they started realizing what that did.
That is crazy. Can you imagine getting a railroad spike to your head?
I would hate that. I really wouldn't like that.
Well, that's pretty much all for Tom.
That was all of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to just try 3 more sessions with him.
I'd
like
like
to
that.
be there as well.
I know.
I feel like I was an integral part of it.
What would you have gotten hypnotized for if it was you?
Well, I was thinking that would really be high on my list, the one you said.
Well, that's what I'm hoping is that even though it sounded and maybe is vain to an extent, because you said that and then we had a guest on later that night and we were recording with him and before we were just talking and we were talking about the hypnosis and he said, oh, I want that. And I was like, oh, maybe it's more universal. Hopefully a lot of people, not hopefully a lot of people feel like they don't like the image, but hopefully a lot of people can take something from that.
Yeah. Oh, I think so. And then the other thing, funny enough, because I suggested one thing to you, right? Which was let go of worry. And that, again, is something I would wish for myself.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to be able to trust that I can work hard and do everything I need to do without worrying. Because I think you can. I think we've so indelibly associated it with worrying because it usually follows a bout of worrying, but I don't think it's necessary. I think we can intellectually know exactly what we have to do without the fear and anxiety.
Yeah, I agree with you to an extent. I think there is a healthy level of anxiety when you're operating on a really high level of productivity that sort of has to exist in order for you to achieve those things. I think you can lower your bar of achievement and your idea of success, and that can limit your anxiety. But I think those are tied together.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think of we didn't talk to him long enough to truly know, but Mosari, like that guy's running Instagram and he seemed to be so chill about it.
Yeah, but we can't know that just from an hour. I mean, I emailed him a question and he took a long time to respond and said, "I'm so sorry, I've been so slammed." So I feel that his life is crazy.
Yeah, I guess I just dream of a state where your life can be crazy, but you don't have to join the craziness and make a racket in your head around it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. I know that I used to write for fun, for the pleasure and joy of writing. And I know that once that became a job, it changed.
Well, no, I think stakes change your level of anxiety. That's my point. I don't know that you can be the president and not have anxiety. And by the way, I think you should have some anxiety because the higher the stakes, the more responsibility you have. And that requires a little bit of anxiousness. It requires a little bit of that. I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I go to the Paul Bloom example of how empathy is not related to action to help. Like if you see someone drowning in a lake and you're on the shore, empathy isn't really what's needed. You don't need to assume the mental state of someone in a panic. You need to assume the mental state of someone who's not panicked that can go in and rescue the person. Or a surgeon shouldn't imagine the mental state you're in to do their job. I guess I'm thinking of it in that way. Like you can do your job without any of the hysteria.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between hysteria and anxiety. I mean, you want the surgeon to care about the outcome, and care requires a level of paying attention, being very thorough, and some, I mean, I think I've heard a lot of people in psychology sort of say that, like some level of anxiety is good. It makes you productive. It leads you to your next thing. But it can cross a line into something unhealthy, and that's the one you got to monitor.
I mean, I know what you're saying. Like if the surgeon didn't have a fear of not doing it correctly,
then you have Dr. Death.
but someone could be a good surgeon because they love that they can get in there and fix it. Like they could just be working from a place of like, oh yeah, I get to do this and I'm good at it and I'm going to do it. Like that's also possible, no?
I don't think that means they don't have anxiety. I think you think anxiety is antithetical to joy, and I don't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think being anxious is joyful.
I mean, I think it can cross a line, but I think anxiety before a show is not a bad thing. It can lead you to being on in a way that if you don't have anxiety, you aren't on, and then you have a great show and you feel good after. It can lead to good things, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right, but when I would have like a normal Sunday show at the Groundlings, I would have a couple sketches that were replaying from last week, or maybe they've been running for 6 weeks, and then I would invariably have 2 new sketches, right? I would have anxiety about the 2 new sketches, and then I would be absolutely excited to get out there and do the 2 from last week because I already knew they worked.
But right, that's exactly right. The stakes were lower.
But I was just as funny in all 4 sketches. Like my funniness or my ability to do my job didn't change. It's just one I enjoyed immensely, and the other one was accompanied by fear and anxiety. And if given the choice, I would have loved to have just pretended that every new sketch had ran last week. It would have just been more fun.
I didn't need to feel anxiety to be funny in the sketch.
But maybe you did. Maybe you did originally. Maybe you needed that in order to push yourself to your limits and then get those laughs and know, oh, that's what it takes to get this laugh. We don't know. We can't go back in time and remove that anxiety.
We don't know. But I can say that often, like Josh and I had a sketch, Let's Dance, that ran for like 10 weeks. And I can say pretty objectively, it just got better and better because I was having more and more and more fun. And the more fun I'm having, the funnier I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. Well, we really, we turned over every leaf on that debate.
Yeah, sure did. All right. Well, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your trip. And I really, really, really want you to be careful and be safe and not bring it back, okay?
Okay.
Okay?
I'm doing everything, well, other than staying at the house, I'm doing everything that can be done while also going out to lunch.
Okay. All right.
I love you. This was really fun. All right.
Bye.
Bye.